No company has paved the way for TV animation as much as Hanna-Barbera. The first to ever make cartoons specifically for the small screen, with a garbage load of backlog content which I basically know nothing about. And that just couldn't stand. So I've decided to make the ultimate obscure Hanna-Barbera tier list, where I look over the entire Hanna-Barbera catalog and pick 13 things to rate, plus some extra special surprises. Hit me with your takes in the comments, and like and subscribe for new stuff every month. Let's Scooby fucking do this. Huckleberry Hound and Quick Draw McGraw. Meet two of Hanna-Barbera's most senior characters. The original Blue Pooch himself, Huckleberry Hound, as he gets into all kinds of zaniness by just being himself. And the fastest gun in the West, Quick Draw McGraw, and his buddy Bubba Louie, here to bring evildoers to justice and a smile to your face. Huckleberry Hound is probably the most nothing cartoon I've ever seen. It's not god-awful, but it isn't in any way memorable. Granted, the idea of a character that's subverting the audience expectations by underreacting in funny situations is enjoyable.
Good dog, man.
But here, with the lack of budget, it doesn't come through at all, and instead makes this whole thing feel odd and clumsy. The animation is exactly what you would expect from 50s TV. Minimalist UPA-inspired backgrounds, ridiculously limited movements, comically awful sometimes, and ridiculously stilted. The economics of early TV were awful for animation. These people did Tom and Jerry, and then they go on to do this. Thinking about how much of a step down that is enough to make a man cry. The only time that limitation really added something was in this episode, where Huck goes against this weird alien.
It's just a routine question, sir.
That stiltedness and lack of personality in the movements adds this element of coldness to this fucking thing that makes it creepy in a way only 50s TV animation can be. It has that eerie, otherworldly, theremin-infused spook factor of something like the Flatwoods Monster. But I'm in no way saying that this was intentional. Feels more like a happy accident, really. If this wasn't the second show the studio ever produced, and one of the first ever made-for-TV cartoons period, I might get mad. But really, this character's just a big nothing burger. So of course I want a fucking Emmy, really. I give it a C tier. Now the Quick Draw McGraw show, on the other hand, that has actual personality. It's a silly western spoof with just enough sincerity behind it so that it's actually funny. Its dynamic between Quick Draw McGraw and his little Mexicano pal,
Baba Boy.
Baba Boy.
It's Baba Louie, isn't it?
Baba Louie.
is fun and allows for a certain flexibility in the scenarios without feeling like a completely different show every time. It provided a prototype for one of my favorite Hanna-Barbera characters, and is all over just good fun.
Come on!
I don't know why they gave him a superhero persona, but then again, I don't understand half of the things Hanna-Barbera did with their characters, or what Warner Brothers is still doing with them. Fucking what? Yup. Meet the Snagglepuss Chronicles. One of many late 2010s comic reimaginings of Hanna-Barbera characters in weird and wacky adult scenarios. This one, written by author and cartoonist Mark Russell, focused on the titular Rosé Cougar, reimagined as a gay Southern Gothic playwright, under investigation by the House of Un-American Activities Committee in the early 50s. You know, McCarthyism, Second Red Scare, Hollywood Blacklist, that sort of stuff. One of his last ways to appear in showbiz is to be painted orange and play alongside Quick Draw McGraw in cartoons, acted out in real life, Roger Rabbit style. It's fucking weird, and the uncanniness of the human-like anatomy of these pantsless pastel animal people is just wrong.
Good grief, he's naked!
But in a weird way, looking at Snagglepuss, or rather, Snaggletooth's first appearance in the Quick Draw McGraw show, this character basically being an on-screen self-parody kinda scans in an Adam West sort of way.
Oh, knows you're in there, Snagglepuss. Ooh, that stings.
That absolutely wasn't the point of the comic, it's actually a much deeper story, but the idea of these cartoons having this metatextual edge made them a whole lot more enjoyable to me, so I wanted to spotlight this. Comic's well written and gets an A tier,
That was too easy.
with the Quick Draw McGraw show itself getting a B tier.
Baba Booey.
Now I think it's only right to talk about the Faboo feline himself, so... Snagglepuss, the pink prowler always up for mischief. Watch this culturally cultivated cougar make his way out of even the most compromising of positions he finds himself in. There's something just refreshing about a character that's so outwardly fabulous. Proud even. Pretty fresh, to be precise. Snagglepuss comes across like he doesn't even know how to spell the word self-doubt, or even knows that it's actually 2 words, and that makes him endearing. Sure, you can read him as just a walking, talking gay joke now, but because this was the 60s, that queer aspect comes across more like a happy side effect of them mocking the theater-loving thespian archetype, rather than a direct attack on the LGBTQ. I do admit there's little that makes this different from all the other bajillion technically faulty, flat, early Hanna-Barbera shows, apart from the gay puma factor, but I'm into that. Sue me. Even if, yeah, the Pink Panther also does that better. B tier. For Snaggly, little bitch. Roar. The original series Jetsons. Hyper new for 62. It's the Jetsons in beautiful color. Follow this wonderfully futuristic family as they press buttons and complain. Watching this for the first time, I feel like a stupid caveman for not understanding this show's appeal. I should, right? It influenced a bunch of stuff that I love. And let's not forget that it's apparently a giant metropolis like Sky City, with the poor oppressed underclasses living in caves underneath. Right? The internet keeps telling me that. So why am I so bored? All jokes aside, The Jetsons is a 1960s family sitcom interlaced with gags about magic machines in Magic Land. Everything's very boring and bourgeois. The world's plastic, the characters are safe, and everything screams first world problems. I get why people grasp at straws to make this more than it is, but it's not worth the effort. And internet galaxy brains, look, here's the ground. No Flintstones in sight. That alone gets you bonked on the head by my caveman club. D tier.
So on the plausibility meter, I give the Jetsons and Flintstones conspiracy 4 robot maids out of 5.
Bonk. Ah, you see this cool 4-legged dude? He and his swinging gang are ready to live the good life, but the universe doesn't like to oblige. So this smart-talking alley cat is forced to grab fate by the tail. Hot take, I think this one's Hanna-Barbera's most interesting early 60s primetime project. They hired staff from popular TV comedies to develop the show, which makes it come together really well. The way how these characters get rich quick schemes will go always feels unpredictable and funny. The only major criticism I have towards it is the art style. It almost has the opposite problem of the Jetsons, where it was boring, but the look was good. Here everything's entertaining enough, but the look just isn't there. Especially the background's aggressive minimalism and reliance on pastels doesn't set the right tone for me. The opening and closing sequences hint at what this show could have looked like, but as is, it's pretty visually forgettable. And I suspect that's part of why Top Cat's basically forgotten now, outside of poor countries no one cares about. You know, like Britain.
Okay, shall we start with your name?
B tier. Space Ghost! A mysterious caped spaceman and his young friends protect the universe from evildoers. Yeah, I'ma be honest. I only know this one because of Channel Chasers and that one weird Adult Swim show.
Mother! You getting it?
Hello, Space Ghost. Well, hello, Space Ghost.
Ew.
And with its basic, hokey as all heck, limited animation and lack of spectacle, out there premises, and general jank factor, you can totally see why some Gen Xers would wanna go all abstract with this. There's this earnesty to it, some plots are genuinely ridiculous.
These lizard creeps are space slavers.
Based!
And there's nothing that fully drags it down, but that's because it doesn't have a lot going for it in the first place. It's what you get when you have a bunch of people who up to this point have done mostly comedy go into the action genre with no budget. It's a recipe for disaster that ends up delightfully bizarre. C tier. For Coast to Coast.
Based!
And now here they are, the most daredevil group of daffy drivers to ever whirl their wheels in the wacky races, competing for the title of the world's wackiest racer.
This one's just a classic. It's quick-paced, and I love that the main premise is just a bunch of people competing for whom can be the silliest mofo on the block. That's really cute. It's not particularly good for binge watching, as the regurgitation of races, names, and powers gets really repetitive really quickly, but that's fine, because the races are fun enough to make up for it.
I'll just have to lift myself over them.
He's converted the converter car into a derrick and lifts himself off the road.
Why isn't it possible?
It's just not.
Why not, you stupid bastard?
But the races really aren't the main focus of the show. Dick Dastardly is. He's Wile E. Coyote with a sidekick, and works great. He's constantly in front of the other races, and only loses because he's trying to cheat. And there's something beautifully poetic about that drive towards self-sabotage. High B tier. Though I gotta talk about Wacky RaceLand, the weird R-rated comic reimagining of wacky races into a Mad Max tank girl-like setting. It's fun, it gives Dick Dastardly a great backstory, is beautifully bleak at points, funny in others, gets extra points for spending some time in New Vegas,
I hate this fucking shit,
and has a good ending. And it's called Wacky RaceLand. Fucking S tier.
Welcome to Race Wars.
Anyway, now let's talk about something equally as bloody. It's the Banana Splitz! Follow this fun-loving group of friends as they make you laugh, giggle, and snork with their far-out gags, wacky editing, and high-energy skits. Nothing weird or creepy at all. So this came back in a weird way, didn't it? Yeah. Ultimately, the original BS, which is a really nice acronym by the way, were little more than high-energy wraparound segments around cartoons and some live-action shows.
There has been a rumor going around that the sky is falling down. This rumor has been traced to a silly chicken. We want all of you folks to understand that the sky is not falling down, and the silly chicken has been warned not to start any such rumors in the future.
Oh my God!
The only thing I can really say about them is that I gotta give props to the performers for being so athletic within these droopy, kinda shitty looking costumes. They have a good variety of skits, and they make the most out of being people on an empty soundstage, with a laugh track, some sound effects, voiceover, and the wacky editing. I know the internet really likes that idea, that just because something is old and for kids, it's automatically cursed for some reason, but no, it's just a little kids thing, nothing ominous. Oh, except for this clip.
Thanks, but it's getting late.
Susie, there's one thing there's no escaping from.
What's that?
A banana split concert.
People would kill for a segue like that. I really wish I could talk more about the 2019 Banana Splits movie, but to be brief, for a movie where they're literally in the title, it's disappointing that clearly nobody wanted to actually work with this material. The BS are barely present, and when they are, you can tell everything is done here with a lot less energy and enthusiasm than even that low-budget 60s show. This, kind of like the Child's Play remake, could have been completely standalone, and you would have lost nothing. There's a really good, fun premise buried here, but the movie doesn't take advantage of the slightly off-kilter, psychotic energy these characters kind of already had. I'd recommend the fucking 2017 Banana Splitz Suicide Squad crossover comic over it. That one's packed with true oogles of fun, and it's clear that the people making it wanted to do something fun with the property. Still, at least the Banana Splitz movie exists. Which is more than I can say about the fucking FNAF movie. Movie gets a C tier, comic gets an S tier,
Suicide Squad.
and show gets a I really don't give a shit tier.
Bruh.
Also, I think it's funny that the Wikipedia page offers to redirect you to Al Capone. Like, it's the new Scooby Doo movies? 2 years after the classic original Scooby Doo, Where Are You? It's the new Scooby Doo movies, featuring your favorite celebrities like the Harlem Globetrotters, the Three Stooges, Laurel and Hardy, and even the Caped Crusaders themselves. Through and through, these have this feeling of cheap disposability about them. That cheap level of presentation gives them this hilarious, charming quality. Especially the Batman ones. There's nothing funnier to me than hearing, "Zoinks! It's the Penguin and that clown prince of crime, the Joker!" Did I ever tell you about my father?
Uh-oh, trouble.
And have a look at this shot, where they just move the animation cell to make the character on screen move. That just borders on parody, and is classic low-effort 70s Hanna Barbera. And while at 40 minutes, they're absolutely not worth binging, they're great to sift through as gloriously dated jank trash that helped usher in the dystopian world of crossovers that we are like totally living in right now. C for celebrity cameo. Holy crap, Lois. What's up? The Flintstones movie. The iconic modern Stone Age family is back for the 90s with the Flintstones, a rock-banging tale of Fred Flintstone and the troubles with his buddy Barney, his job, and the pressure that comes with modern Stone Age greed. I already spilled my guts about the Jetsons, but while I can get down with funky cave people a whole lot more, the movie feels like a whole different beast entirely, feeling like the cinematic equivalent of a McDonald's playground. Here just to push a shit ton of crap merch, along with some bad puns. Oh my god! The Sabertooth! That's so funny! Ha ha ha! Yabba dabba D tier. Personally, I like the sequel Viva Rock Vegas that inexplicably came out 6 years later a whole lot more. The movie is way goofier immediately, which really does save it. Starting with that alien that hangs out with the Flintstones sometimes for some reason. You know, the one that's Snagglepuss's girlfriend?
My lover even.
That character's entire screen presence is so shitty that it comes around to become a fucking meme again. And that's this movie in a nutshell. It's leaning into the absurdist camp way harder this time, making it a lot more appealing. Its main cast has a lot more energy, and the cartoon gags work a whole lot better as a result. B tier. Not great, but enjoyable. Oh, and I guess I'm obligated to talk about the comic as well. This one was written by the same dude who wrote the Snagglepuss Chronicles, and you can tell he had a lot to say here too. He confronts the Flintstones and the Jetsons' conservative mid-century attitude about consumerism, relationships, and materialism head-on, managing to be pretty thoughtful on those topics alongside a lot of other issues, from gay marriage to anarcho-primitivism to more cerebral stuff like our place in the universe and how we'll be remembered by future generations, while at the same time spending a whole lot of time telling actually emotionally complex stories with the sentient animal appliances of all things, who ended up being my favorite characters. Like, I'm not memeing with any of this. It's insane, but the Flintstones comic is surprisingly intelligently crafted. Easy S tier.
A dabba do time, so we'll have a gay old time.
The Drak Pack. 3 hip, young, late 70s, early 80s teens who turn into superhero personas based on classic Universal monsters go out and fight the evil mustache-twirling Dr. Dread and his army of henchmen to prove that terrifying monsters can be the good guys too. As a horror and creature feature fan, I like this one. It's not a deep cut parody or directly an homage to the Universal monsters, but if you can take it with a bit of salt, it's an adorable little thing. All you need to know is that they call Dracula Big D.
Count Dracula, known as Big D.
Yeah. In this one, the smooth brain Hanna-Barbera factor is kind of balanced out by its interesting premise. I really like these characters, and that goes for some of the plots too. The kids turn into monsters setup is a bit unnecessary, but their powers and tools are pretty cool, and I like that the scruffy dumbass kid turns into spunky yapping piece of shit woofer. I think he's really adorable, and I can totally vibe with that energy. And the vamp kid kinda looks like Phantom Blood Dio with black hair. In terms of HB's catalog, at 13 episodes, this one's one of the less garbage ones. Boiling beat here. Yo, Yogi!
Yo, Yogi, yo, 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 Yogi, Yogi's here with all of the old crew.
Yogi and the gang are back! More hip and witted than ever. Watch these dripped out Hanna-Barbera classics solve mysteries by skating, biking, and riding through the most happening place in town. Jellystone Mall. Wow, yeah, no. This is instant cringe. From frame 1, node 1, you instantly feel secondhand embarrassment for I don't even know what or whom. But basically this is exactly what it looks like. They wheeled out their old stable of characters, teenagerified them for some reason, in the process sandblasting off the few defining characteristics and general audience appeal these characters had left.
It's chili dog time, yeah.
For the sake of demographic. Which one, I don't know. This feels like it's made for 5-year-olds, or Chris Chan. But at the same time, would that demographic really have cared for all this making the characters look like thrift store rejects so cheesy they would even make Macklemore pause? Probably not. Structure-wise, these episodes are a mess, hard to follow, and the central character dynamic is basically non-existent.
Yo, yo, Yogi.
SWAT Katz, the Radical Squadron. Meet Razor and T-Bone, ace pilots of a slightly more fuzzy persuasion. These two rockin' dudes are prepared to lay it all on the line to protect the one and only Mega Cat City from the forces of destruction. Fucking SWAT Katz, now we're talking. Holy shit. This one's a fucking awesome action-packed gem with a slick look. Initially the pet project of two self-taught artists, the way this turned out is what everybody wishes the idea in their head turned into. SWAT Katz is so well done. You can tell these people spent years developing it. Both its main characters are capable, respectable when the going gets tough, but also complete goofballs. They're characters with simple goals, kick tail, take names, but with a lot of depth that creates a sense of sympathy, rendered in this really interesting art style, with this heavy usage of black, creating a really cool atmosphere. This storyboarding is amazing at times, and the music kicks fucking ass. Meanwhile, creators and fans, to this day, are waiting for a chance for this show's glorious return. Me included. I stand this S tier. This feels so out of place as a Hanna-Barbera thing.
1, 2, 3, Baby. Sassy.
I know. I've stretched the word obscure pretty far. You don't need to tell me. But boy, this character's fun. Johnny Bravo is like a less creepy, more outwardly hilarious Pepe Le Pew. I love that they embrace his vibes as this adolescent priest they wrote abuse Duke Nukem, while keeping the women around him confident and in charge of themselves. With this hulking, walking, talking Elvis impression, masculinity so toxic you could wipe out an entire band of Viet Cong with his gaze alone, I could totally see why you people won't stop talking about this. I wish I could have seen this as a kid, because damn! This is snippy, clever, constantly throwing jokes at you, and even the inevitable Scooby Doo crossover is probably the best pre-2000s parody I've seen.
Scooby, you and Fred check upstairs. Velma and I'll look in the basement.
Daphne?
I mean, Scooby, you and Velma check upstairs, and Fred and I'll look in the basement.
Damn, I didn't imagine I'd want sexual tension in the Scooby Gang. But now I just want more of it. I got a hunch there's so much to talk about here. Among all the other numerous parodies and cameos I could point out. But I know I just can't do it justice here.
Joe Barbera?
Who's that?
So while it isn't the last Hanna-Barbera show to air under the name, heck, it isn't even the last to be cancelled, after all I've seen, I think it provides a worthy send-off to the legacy of this company. S tier.
Sassy.
And that's the tier list. I gotta say, Hanna-Barbera is still a bit of a mystery to me. But hey, this was just a small window into the vast ocean of their catalogue, and there's a lot more stuff I've missed. Is there some shows I haven't talked about you'd like me to cover? Or stuff on here you'd like to hear more about? I'd love to know. So drop a comment, like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more fun stuff. Have a good day. Why the fuck did they think this was a good idea?